What's up everyone, Hero276 here, and welcome to today's video, and welcome back to my channel. Today we got a fun one for you today featuring GALARIAN WEEZING in the Great League. So if you guessed that in the polls, you are correct. And as you can see, it is running the charge move of Sludge, which is not included in its typical moveset, but it ended up core breaking a lot of teams and made a lot of fairy type matchups better for me. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that way you can catch all my uploads. Before we dive into the video, and the team, I just want to bring my Spotify page to light. If you like the music used in this video and other videos, all my music is originally created and can be found on the Spotify page. So if you would like to go check that out, the link will be in the description. You can buy my albums there for just $4.99, and I'll have a third and fourth album up sometime this year. So without further ado, let's jump into these battles. We have five battles for you today in a 4-in-1 set, as well as 2 bonus battles. Team consists of Medicham, GALARIAN Rapidash with the new move of High Horsepower, and GALARIAN WEEZING with that move of Sludge. So as you can see in the first lead, picking up a lead with Medicham into Vigoroth. This is a very good lead. I was afraid they were going to catch there, which is why I threw the Ice Punch on the double body slams, but it ends up forcing a CMP tie, which is good because now they can't defer this Ice Punch. So Ice Punch is going to do some solid damage if they decide to let it go through, which Vigoroth shields up, and this tells me if they're staying in this bad of a matchup that they must be incredibly weak to Medicham in the back. So I shield up the Medicham, they bring in a Pelipper, and I'm going to bring in GALARIAN Rapidash. GALARIAN Rapidash is forced to go straight body slam in this matchup, as High Horsepower is double resisted. So body slams, as you can see though, that body slam did a little bit of damage on the Pelipper, bringing it below half health. I dared them to Hurricane me, trying to call the Weather Ball, but unfortunately I get nuked out of the sky and Hurricane takes me out. At this point, I have to bring back in the GALARIAN WEEZING, as Medicham does not have a good matchup here. As you can see, I lag out of the game for a bit and I miss out on some energy. Luckily though, I do get in a Fairy Wind, so I'm not totally behind. Sludge here is going to take out this Pelipper if they decide to let it go through. Sludge gets the final shield for my opponent, and at this point, I'm going to shield up the GALARIAN WEEZING, because they've got to be incredibly weak to either the WEEZING or the Medicham in the back. Likely the Medicham. So I shield up the WEEZING just to keep the Pelipper away from my Medicham, and now at this point, Sludge will take out the Pelipper. I come back in with the Medicham as soon as they bring in their Vigoroth. I'm able to counter down, and we see why they stayed in that terrible lead matchup, as they have Aurorus in the back. So Aurorus taking double super effective from the counter, obviously does not like Medicham. Psychic lands and does nice damage. I try to go for the Ice Punch to get the final KO, but my opponent reaches a Weather Ball and wins over CMP. So at this point, GALARIAN WEEZING has to reach a Sludge, and even though it's resisted, Sludge will take out the Aurorus, and it will give us the win. So without further ado, let's hop into the second match. Hopping into game number 2, leading Medicham into Walrein. This is a very good matchup for the Medicham. Opponent will likely switch out of this matchup, and they're going to stay in for a second before they switch into a Gliscor, and Gliscor is going to be met with my GALARIAN Rapidash. Now, it's not a great matchup for GALARIAN Rapidash, as once again, we're forced to go for Body Slam, as High Horsepower is double resisted, but I'm going to call a Night Slash here. Night Slash, it is just a Night Slash, so that's a very good call on my end. Now I can just shield up this Night Slash, and at this rate, I should be able to reach the back-to-back body slams before my opponent reaches another Night Slash. So this will force a shield here from the Gliscor, and this will force the second shield from the Gliscor if they want to preserve this alignment. My opponent does give up 2 shields, and that's honestly very nice for me, because now I can come in with GALARIAN WEEZING. I try to go for a Sludge there, but they're able to reach an Earthquake. I shield it up. It is the Earthquake. I'm going to farm up some energy a little bit and then go for the Sludge. Sludge will take out the Gliscor even though it's resisted. Sludge lands, takes out the Gliscor. My opponent is going to wait their clock, bring in a Walrein, and I'm going to go for the Play Rough here. Play Rough is going to do some nice neutral damage here and get this Walrein pretty low. So nice damage there from that GALARIAN WEEZING. Walrein is going to Earthquake me here, and it is going to take me out, but we can come in with Medicham and get in a nice counter down. So I'm going to wait out my switch clock because I do have the GALARIAN Rapidash as a potential sack swap. And now that my switch clock is up, I will be able to use it in full effect. We counter down the Walrein. They have their own Medicham in the back, and we have an energy lead, and this Psychic is going to hurt. And because I have that Rapidash as the sack swap, I'm going to wait till they get the Psychic and switch and catch onto the Reshiram. This is the Psychic, so that wastes a ton of energy from the Medicham, and now I'm going to be able to reach a Psychic on my own Medicham. This will take out the opposing Medicham and give us the win. So we're going to hop into game number 3, leading the Medicham into a Pidgeot. Not a great lead at all, so I'm going to pivot into my Galarian Rapidash. My opponent responds with the Galarian Stunfisk, and there is potential here to land a high horsepower. High horsepower coming through. My opponent is going to meet it with a shield, which is quite unfortunate. And at this point, I'm going to try to call the Rock Slide. I have a shield advantage. I might as well just let this go through, and it's Earthquake. So at this point, I'm just going to wait my clock and then come in with Medicham. Medicham is going to get in a nice counter down, and my hope is that I leave with a little bit of energy to threaten the Pidgeot with some Ice Punches. So I'm going to go for an Ice Punch right here on the CMP to the next Earthquake. Opponent lets it go through. It is the Earthquake. This will get me quite low. However, I am able to survive it. Medicham is a beefy boy, and I'm going to be able to reach an Ice Punch, but I decide to let this next move go through and basically force them to Earthquake, but they go for a Rock Slide. That's not going to take me out. And now I have some energy for this Pidgeot, and I anticipate it's going to come back in, so I'm going to immediately pivot into my Galarian Weezing, but there's a Swampert in the back. And this is looking quite rough because Swampert hits very hard with these Hydro Cannons, especially the Shadow variant. So I kind of have to Hail Mary a play rough here, hoping my opponent does not shield this. Opponent does shield up the play rough. This is very difficult for me. And now at this point, I kind of have to double shield the Galarian Weezing, as it is my best response to the Pidgeot in the back. So I'm going to go for the play rough. I'm able to reach it before Swampert gets to their next Hydro Cannon. This will take out the Swampert, which is quite nice. And now it's just Galarian Weezing versus the world. So now Galarian Weezing going to go for the Sludge. Opponent has to let this through. It does some nice chip damage. I'm going to bank some more energy, come in with Medicham, and snipe with an Ice Punch. In hindsight, should have gone for the Psychic. I thought I was going to be able to reach 2, but my opponent decides to throw their energy, and this is huge for me because at this point I should be able to outpace to the Sludge, live on very little HP. I get off the Sludge, and this will KO the Pidgeot and give us the win. So a very close game right there, but we're able to fight through it. Hopping into game number 4, featuring Medicham into the mirror match. Because I have 2 fairy types in the back, my natural play is to pivot into my first fairy type, which is Galarian Rapidash. My opponent tries to catch a move on Walrein, but I hold on to my energy, and now I'm going to go straight for the high horsepower. High horsepower is going to do some nice damage onto this Walrein, getting it below half health, and I'm able to reach a Body Slam as well, which is very nice. Body Slam is going to force a shield from this Walrein, which is quite nice, and now I'm going to basically just let the Galarian Rapidash go down now that I was able to force a shield advantage. At this point, Medicham is going to come in after I wait my switch clock and get in a very nice counter down. So from this range, I should be able to get a counter down while only having to body 1 move. Walrein recognizes that they're only going to get to 1 move, so they decide to full send the Earthquake, which is a good play on them. Medicham is able to tank it though. They've got a Azumarill in the back. And they are completely core broken by a Sludge Galarian Weezing, as Sludge here is going to add up onto the Azumarill. Sludge, not the strongest move. It's about the same as Rock Blast parameters, 50 damage for 40 energy. It's not insanely strong whatsoever, but they are starting to add up onto Azumarill, and I realized that Galarian Weezing is my win condition. So I'm going to shield once. I'm going to go for 1 more since they can't hold 2 Ice Beams. And then I'm going to go for the Sludge here. Sludge will get shielded by my opponent. They're at another Ice Beam right here. And I'm just going to shield it up as Galarian Weezing is my win condition. One thing I do have to be careful of is that their Medicham could potentially have a Psychic. And I really should have overfarmed there, so that way I could have outpaced the Medicham to the Psychic potentially. I did not realize how much this Medicham had on energy, so they're going to go straight away for the Psychic. It takes me out, so a bit of a learning curve here. I should have recognized how much energy this Medicham had, so that's quite unfortunate for me, as Psychic is not going to do enough damage to take out the Medicham, and Medicham is just too healthy and also has too much energy. So they're going to be able to reach a Psychic again, and this will take me out. and I'm unfortunately going to lose the game despite having a very promising ending. Hopping into the final battle of the set, and we have Medicham into Lantern. Very neutral lead across the board, so I'm going to switch into Galarian Rapidash. And as you can see, we do have the access to high horsepower. I go for it, but they catch it onto a Venusaur. But this is still okay, as it's going to do a lot of damage onto this Venusaur. It's going to do 75%. And I'm going to be able to reach a Body Slam as well. Body Slam is going to KO the Venusaur if they decide to let it go through. They decide to shield it up. And at this point, I'm going to fight for Switch as I realize how valuable the Body Slam spam is. So I'm going to shield up this Frenzy Plant. Hopefully we can survive the Vine Whips and be able to reach 2 more. I have 1 more here, and this will get a shield from the Venusaur. And Venusaur is now down both shields. Galarian Rapidash survives the Vine Whips and is able to get off a Body Slam. Body Slam will KO the Venusaur, and now we have Switch and Shield advantage, which is quite nice. Lantern does get in a little bit of farm, and now I'm going to send in my Medicham because Medicham has a good matchup against it. Thunderbolt is going to land on my end and do some solid damage, but I should be able to tank the next move as well on my Medicham, basically just using it as a damage sponge. Now I'm going to go for the Psychic, but my opponent catches it onto a Noctowl. But this is still okay, as the chip damage is pretty valuable for what I bring in Galarian Weezing. Galarian Weezing is going to farm up some energy here. I'm going to let the Sky Attack go through, as it is non-lethal from this range. Sky Attack is going to get me quite low, however, so I do have to be mindful of the health, as I'm going to go for the Play Rough. Hopefully Play Rough does enough damage to take out the Noctowl. It does not do enough damage to take out the Noctowl. However, I am able to Fairy Wind farm down. I'm going to be able to reach a Play Rough against this Lantern. Play Rough is going to do a lot of damage. It doesn't quite take it out. Am I able to reach a Sludge? I'm not able to reach a Sludge, and now it's counter versus Spark. Medicham is able to counter down for the win, and we clutch up a very narrow win. So as you can see, we had a 4-in-1 set right there, which is quite nice. Spheal is the reward encounter. I have not seen a legendary in these reward encounters in so dang long. That's maybe because I took a break, but also like it's been like 2 or 3 months. I think the last one I got was a shiny Yveltal. And I'm still kind of working on maxing out my lucky one, so maybe you'll see that in the Master League at some point. Anyways, first of 2 bonus battles, we get an Obstagoon lead, very good. My opponent pivots into an Azumarill, and we have this game on hard lockdown as we pivot into our Sludge Galarian Weezing. Now, Sludge is going to add up onto this Azumarill. You saw how much damage it did before. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but they will add up over time. Galarian Weezing is able to tank any one move from this range. Ice Beam is non-lethal, and I lag out a little bit, but I am able to reach another Sludge on this Azumarill. This will get the Azumarill quite low. And I'm really hoping that I can commit to a Fairy Wind farm down. Looking like that's what I'm going to be able to do. But I am going to have to forfeit a shield in the process in an effort to get all this energy. And I do recognize, too, that the Play Rough is going to be lethal on this Obstagoon. Play Rough coming through. Opponent, boom! Lets it go through. It almost takes out Obstagoon, and we're able to Fairy Wind farm them down. They have an Ariados in the back. So this is not looking too great for me, as I really don't have much play up against Ariados with a Medicham and 2 Fairy types. However, my one play is to hopefully land a Psychic and hopefully take out this Ariados, but we're going to have to see. But in order to do that, I first have to sack swap this Galarian Rapidash. Galarian Rapidash does eat the Cross Poison, not that well, however, and my opponent throws again, so I'm honestly perfectly content with just letting this Galarian Rapidash go down. Cross Poison does take me out. Opponent gets the attack boost, and I'm very glad it did not shield, as that would have been very catastrophic for me. At this point, though, I am able to shield up a Lunge, which would have been double boosted, and now I'm going to go for the Psychic. Is this enough to KO the Ariados? It is not, but it gets it into a range where I should be able to counter down. They come in with a Azumarill to try and catch a charge move. Ariados is not going to be able to reach another Lunge. Medicham is just too powerful, and it counters down for the win. Hopping into the final game as we lead Medicham into Galarian Stunfisk. Opponent is probably going to swap out of this matchup, and they do into a Noctowl, and I'm going to come in with the Galarian Weezing. Lagging as usual. I had some pretty bad internet throughout these sets, as you see. I lagged out quite a bit in these past couple games, but I'm able to reach a Play Rough. Play Rough is going to do some solid damage if they let it go through, so Noctowl does decide to commit a shield. And at this point, I'm more than willing to let this Galarian Weezing go down, as I do have a shield advantage. I'm going to bring in my Galarian Rapidash and just commit to the Body Slam spam here. Body Slam is going to do some solid damage onto this Noctowl if they let it go through, which they do, and it brings it below half health. Even better, this was a CMP tie, and I am going to shield up the Sky Attack. Sky Attack would basically KO from here. My opponent brings in a Galarian Stunfisk, and I'm going to bring back in the Medicham, not before banking some energy on Galarian Rapidash. Ice Punch does some modest damage onto the Galarian Stunfisk, and at this point, I'm going to call a Rock Slide bait, but unfortunately they land the Earthquake, but I'm still able to survive it, so the shield wasn't entirely necessary. Going for the Ice Punch, this should just about KO if they let it go through. Ice Punch does grab the shield from the Stunfisk. This is only a Rock Slide. I should be able to live this move, so I am going to no-shield it. Can I counter down? I cannot counter down, but I should be able to Fairy Wind farm down or reach the Body Slam before the Galarian Stunfisk reaches a move. So Body Slam will KO, and it's all up to Galarian Rapidash with a shield to take out this team. I am able to reach a Body Slam against this Noctowl. Noctowl is going to get KO'd, and it's just a Deoxys defense in the back. With a shield, we should be okay here. This is where Mega Horn would really come in clutch. But High Horsepower, as you're going to see here in a minute, still does quite a bit of damage, getting this Deoxys defense below half health. At this point, I have to shield up this move. It is a Rock Slide. I am able to shield that up. Can I reach the High Horsepower? I am able to reach the High Horsepower. This will KO the Deoxys defense, and it will give us the win. Noctowl also gets farmed down. I completely forgot that was alive in the back. I did that last video too, or I didn't know that the Noctowl was alive in the back. As it stands, though, Galarian Weezing did an overall good job. That fourth game, I just had a couple of misplays, and I wasn't able to, just correctly utilize its health, and I should have been paying a little bit more attention to Medicham's energy. But, those are games where you live and learn, and that's why I feature them here on this channel. That said, we did have an 85% win rate with this team on the day, so if you enjoyed that, please be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel for more. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one.